Okay, this is the endgame opening session. So the idea is looking to end the game, not quick and dirty tactics, but a focus on actually ending the game and not baking the game in any way, shape. We're trying to find those ideal positions. We're just warming up with a bit of bullet, just to try and end the game. Focus on more proactive movement towards, hopefully, fingers crossed, ending the game. So let's just get the knight up here. I think we can move the queen and just put a check on the king. Unfortunately, we can't take anything at the minute. I'm going to squeeze the queen in here, just to be a nuisance. But it looks like I'm trying to end the game. Knight takes, we take the bishop for free for a brief moment, and just take the bishop back. So keeping our bishop in towards their king area. Get the knight up here attacking this pawn. Does it have an out? Not really. But it's still getting hit. Still getting hit at this moment in time. I think we just bring the knight here. Got to move quicker. Do we take or do we push past? Then we're going to take this one. And then we'll take this one with the rook or with the bishop. Going to take with the bishop. Take with the knight. Coming down for this pawn here. Now, do we have a situation? I think we can attack the rook. I think we can take the rook off the board. I think they've created a situation for themselves. Let's just push this pawn here. Let's attack the rook. And let's move the knight. Get ready to move it again. It's attacking the bishop. Bishop just slides back here. And we can now attack the pawn. And we can mobilize this knight. We are looking to hit this pawn. And I think we'll take with the rook. 46 seconds, time's running out, but we are looking to finish the game. Going to attack the rook. Hoping the rook goes here, the bishop can take it. No, it's not doing that just yet, so I think we will keep the protection here. Let's push this pawn. Take the knight. And mobilize the bishop. Push the rook. Hit the pawn. Take. Put a check on the king. Get the rook off the board. Take. Get the bishop in. King up. King up. Puts a check on the king. Move the king across. Hit the pawn. And take. Move the king. Bishop. Take. King. And move the king up. One more. And let's push. 15 seconds. Can we do it? Coming for the bishop. Don't give him anything. Push. 11 seconds. Looks like they're letting the time run out. It looks like they may have left the game. In a longer game, we'll go for break down exactly the elements of what makes up the end game opening. Okay, so we're taking a look at the end game opening. So what's the focal point? Weak area, potentially for us to start attacking or focusing on. Yep, you could just start with the initial one of this one's weak because it's, you know, the side of the king. What can we do about it? So that's our focal point for the initial bit. We can then expand it out to here and to here and to here to see if can we put some types of pressure or focal point towards that area. But in the meantime, you have to deal with what's actually happening currently right here, right now. And I'm going to take this pawn. So anything that's really going to drive towards this area will be a plus for us. Gives me something to think about, gives me something, a goal to aim for. That's the weak area. If we can target that, if we can get that dismantled, then we'll be a plus in our strategy and planning. As mentioned, it isn't quick and dirty tactics at all in any way, shape, because when you're opening, it's very rare that you're going to get to the king. You know, you're not going to get to squish smaller piece attacking a higher piece. All the basics of the answer to chess process type stuff is all in place. So you're not just ignoring it just because you've gone, oh, I identified this as a weak area. That's our strategical long-term plan. So we want to bait a pawn down, maybe attacking the queen. The knight comes in, the pawn takes. Again, we said this is the kind of weak area that we're focusing on. Comes with the pawn, so we're trying to dismantle the area a little bit. Probably the knight or the pawn takes. So this area here, we're kind of focused on. Anything that's driving some activity towards that area, we're working on. So now we're just going to bring the bishop back, keeping tabs on that area around the king, because we're focused on that as the weak area. But let's not negate any other stuff that can go on within the game from the opponent. But that was our initial end game opening plan, strategy, idea, identifying the weakness that we can take advantage of potentially. But it all depends on what the opponent does. There's no guarantees in chess. But to have some sort of idea how you want to kind of end the game. Now, let's have a look at this. The bishop is x-raying through to the queen at the minute. We don't have another piece apart from the queen that can come and put a 2-on-1 on this pawn. They're probably looking to castle because then the rook is defending, but they haven't done that. So they look like we're going for a queen exchange. We're going to go for a queen exchange and we would be on their rook with the bishop. Obviously the rook's going to defend itself. So we have obliterated this area that we said was the weak area around their king. Now we can get the knight off the board, but the rook is going to come down and defend. We go here. If we go here, we're playing around this weak area, as we've mentioned, as part of the endgame opening. Is there anything else? Bishop can put a check on, but the pawn is going to drop and then we lose the tempo of this bishop. So the bishop is going to be taken because the rook is going to come here, but the rook is then in the center of the board. Then we should be able to get this pawn for free. So I'm going to attack the rook and the knight, playing in this weak area that we'd mentioned before. I am not doing anything magical, we're just demonstrating the end game opening. Kind of psychology that you can use if you're interested in doing quirky chess. They've just given us the rook, which is a higher piece. I'm just looking to see if there's any mates, but I don't. Oh, he's going for a fried liver type thing. Here. Yeah, stopping us from castling. He's taken with the knight, he's attacking our rook, so he's going to get the rook anyway. So I think we're going to let them have the rook. We're going to let them have the rook with the knight. We save our bishop. Interesting. Yes, so they've taken, so we're +1 at the moment out of that. Now their knight is kind of not trapped, but it is trapped. So I'm going to do this, and if we can get our bishop out, we can mobilize our king towards their knight. But he's going to get our bishop. So let's go here. They're going to frantically try and save this knight. He's looking to come in and get pawns with the bishop, so he's just going to bang, bang, bang. So he moves one, we move one, he takes... I don't even need to do that though I could defend the pawn with the bishop. I'm going to take... and then attack, doubles the pawns. Too clever for me. Let's bring the knight up because he was looking for a back rank mate. His knight must come here to get some sort of compensation with the pawns. Maybe. It must just want to double the pawns. It's a weakness, isn't it? Ah, the knight's come to the attack spot as well. Let's take the knight. So we're +2 at the moment. Positionally, he's coming down. He's probably going to go for an exchange. Or is he bringing the rook here defending? Is he attacking or defending? That's the question. So he's attacking, so we'll take. So at this point now, we've got lots of time to think about the moves. We're +2 out of working the endgame opening, obliterating the weak area around the king. Take. Looks like a stalemate, master. Oh, they've resigned. This is a 10 and 3. So the initial weakness areas are... We'll focus on this area here. These are the weak areas, strategically long term. Just gained an extra minor piece out of that move order. So with the fianchetto win, it's moving into the zone of the weak area in terms of our endgame opening. So chipped away at that area. So, obliterated a bit of that area. "30 minutes, 5-second increment," just to have a look at the end game opening. So what is the end game opening? It really is about setting off some initial target areas that you can focus on. So we're looking at the weak pawn that is in front of the king, and we're potentially going to be looking around this area here for our focal point as the initial strategy. Going to push this pawn just to support. As we said, the focal point is here for us to try and end the game. So it's not quick and dirty tactics, and they've gone for that. So we will take this to open up some space around the weak area that we saw earlier. We're wanting to try and make it even weaker. And they do capture. So the queen could go here, but the queen will take. So we'll hang fire on that. They're probably looking to push the pawn because they've got a discover check with the bishop. Anything else that could potentially be done for now is there a development of a piece. Can't go here because the queen is going to take it. We could push this in preparation for this, but we will be behind in the party because that pawn's going to push. And their bishop is going to be on our queen. So should we preempt this and attack this pawn because it is in the zone of this area? Let's just attack the pawn. It's easily defended. The bishop can come here or it can come here. King could even come there. But we're still focused on this particular area here to potentially end the game. The knight's come and defended. So he's defended the pawn. Does give us that idea of doing this to get the bishop to target the area that we're looking at. So again, the focal point at this area here for now is where we're looking to kind of end the game. And we saw that right from the very beginning. We started with these two, and now we've gone for these two here. There's no threat on our queen at the minute, so we can continue with this, almost trapping the queen. The safest area is here. He could go back for a queen exchange. So again, we've got the diagonal through. He's gone for the queen exchange. Do we go for the exchange, or do we have a check on his king that we can utilize? His king is looking very airy, but we can't get to it. Could just take the queen, bishop takes. And we're still going to focus on this area here with the rest of our pieces, because we do have a white square bishop that can start activating. Develop another piece. I think we're going to develop another piece in order to be able to start mobilizing in this area. So we'll take with the knight, or do we take with the bishop first? Take with the knight because it's got a 2-on-1 on this pawn. So the king is probably going to have to come and defend the pawn as well. But it's too late to the party. The knight can move, but he's only got one piece defending. So we're close to the area. And the rook is defending the bishop. Could take with the knight. I think we'll take with the knight. Get their bishop off the board as well. So we can take here. So we're close to the area that we were focusing on in terms of ending the game. Going to take with the rook, like we said. We do have this, but I don't think they'll want us to get away with that. So they'll move the king and attack the knight. Bishop's still protecting, but at least the rook can escape, because it's a nice little fork we've got going there. But still, as we were focusing on this area, it's developed other weaknesses in the opponent's armory. And there was nothing major that we did. We had a focal point on here, and we wanted to try and make that weak area weaker, which we have done. So they have actually given us the rook. They're attacking our bishop, which has got protection, so that's not a problem. Does double the pawns, but we're winning a higher piece. Doesn't mean we've won the game, obviously. So as you can see, there's an obliteration of that area that we focused on to end the game. I'm going to take the rook off the board. So it's going to take a few moves. The knight's going to have to move to make space for the bishop pushing the pawn so they can get the knight, so they feel they've got some compensation. I think they'll do this though, because they don't want the knight taking the pawn. Alright, so it's making space for the knight. Does the knight have an out? Doesn't really have an out though, does it? Comes here, the king just comes back, and we don't have a safe space to come to in any way. I think we'll just attack this pawn because it's got no protection on at the moment. Oh, it does, sorry, the bishop. I'm thinking the bishop's moving. Yeah, the bishop's moved. I don't know why I said it was moving, but we've got to check on the king here, which allows the knight to get a momentary bit of safety, and it can dance here a little bit. Right, okay, so move the knight to here. And as we mentioned, can move to here. And that's all because the end game opening, we focused on this initial area. And they've got like a free pawn, and they've stopped us from castling. I don't think I need to lose too much sleep over that. Definitely moving the knight, but I can't move it here because now the bishop is there. But we can hit their bishop. He can just sit there. I think we can just hit the bishop. We can hit the bishop. The knight will get to safety. Oh, the bishop is on a crusade. Let's move the knight. So it should just be a matter of us getting the castle in, getting the... So they're just really coming for all the pieces that are unprotected, but we can castle, and that's protected. Maybe now they're going to start trying doing this business, looking somehow for the bishop to get a diagonal here. So it's not over by any means. These type of tricky type situations. Yeah, same pawn we just said. So I'll move the knight, attacking the pawn. I think we'll move the knight, attack the pawn. He's tunnel visioned on pushing this, but we can just push up. This is going to be hitting the rook. Come down for the bishop. Bishop then's very happy, just jumps here. The tunnel visioned on doing that. Let's just push. Next one, pawn pushing onto the rook. Knight takes with a check on the king. Knight's got no protection though. And the king can drop here to attack the knight. And then we would get the rook off the board if that happened. So we will take. I'm assuming they're going to attack it. Then we'll get the fork here on the rook and the king. Yes, so we just go with this. And as you can see, in the weak area, luckily we've landed in the area where we said we were going to end the game. And it's quite fitting that it's ended in this way. But it shows the focal point, gives you something to think about in terms of a strategy. What are the weak areas on the board that you can attack? And it's nice to see it play out in this way. So the knight gets taken, but we have two rooks against a bishop. So that's really not too much of a big ask now for us. So we're going to now start attacking their pieces, so long as we don't land on any dark squares.